RV life used to be about freedom, campfires, open skies, meeting strangers who became lifelong friends, but now, that freedom is quietly being stripped away by rules that make no sense and policies that punish the very people who built this way of life. Whether you're full-time, part-time, or just dreaming of the road, you need to hear this. Let's get rolling. A controversial policy is sweeping across American campgrounds, and it's sparking heated debates in the RV community. The 10-year rule is simple but harsh. If your RV is older than 10 years, you could be turned away regardless of its condition. What started at luxury RV resorts to maintain an upscale image has now spread to everyday campgrounds, leaving many travelers frustrated and excluded. The rule doesn't consider whether your older RV is spotless, well-maintained, or mechanically sound. Age alone determines your welcome. This policy hits hardest where it hurts most: retirees stretching fixed incomes, working families, and full-time travelers who've invested in quality older rigs are being shut out of places they visited for years. With new RVs costing $70,000 or more, replacing a perfectly good older unit every decade simply isn't realistic for most people. The enforcement is maddeningly inconsistent too. Some parks require photo submissions for manager approval of older RVs, while others maintain strict no-exceptions policies. This subjective application feels arbitrary and unfair to many RVers. Critics call it RV age discrimination and disguised classism, judging people by their equipment's birthday rather than their character or behavior. The irony? Many older, well-built RVs are higher quality than today's mass-produced alternatives. Before booking any campground, ask about age restrictions up front. Your decade-old, pristine RV might face an unwelcome surprise at check-in, even at parks that once embraced all travelers with open arms. A troubling trend is spreading across America's campgrounds: explicit bans on full-time RVers. Even with empty sites and eager customers, park owners are increasingly turning away people based solely on their lifestyle choice. The motivation is image over income. Many campgrounds want to project a vacation resort atmosphere, rather than accommodate the growing community of road-dwelling retirees, remote workers, and nomadic families. The result? Arbitrary 14-day or 21-day limits that force constant movement, regardless of guest behavior. This policy punishes people for how they live, not what they do. Respectful, paying full-timers who maintain their sites and follow rules are being lumped together with problem guests and treated as threats to campground reputation. Some park owners cite concerns about zoning complications or tax implications if guests stay too long. Others simply don't want the perceived stigma of permanent residence, even when those residents are model campers paying full rates. The irony is striking. Full-time RVers often provide steady, year-round revenue that many campgrounds desperately need. They're typically experienced campers who know proper etiquette and take care of facilities, yet they're being systematically excluded from a lifestyle supposedly built on freedom and mobility. This quiet discrimination creates real hardship, forcing unnecessary relocations, increasing travel costs, and adding stress to people who chose RV life for its simplicity. As this trend grows, the welcoming spirit of the camping community is being replaced by exclusionary policies that benefit no one. Boondocking, camping off-grid on free public lands, has long been the backbone of affordable RV life. But a growing wave of no-generator use restrictions is quietly shutting out the very people who need it most. Originally designed to reduce noise and protect wildlife, these bans are now spreading to remote areas where they create impossible situations. RVers without expensive solar arrays or lithium battery systems are left unable to power basic necessities like refrigeration, medical equipment, or cooling fans in extreme heat. The enforcement is getting aggressive too. Rangers now patrol remote campsites at night, issuing citations for generator use even where no hookups exist and no alternatives are available. Some areas have shrunk generator hours to tiny 2-hour windows that barely allow battery charging, let alone running essential appliances. While solar power sounds like the obvious solution, it's not realistic for everyone. Quality solar setups cost thousands of dollars, money many budget campers simply don't have. Plus, solar fails in shaded campsites during storms, or in winter conditions when power needs are highest. This creates a cruel irony. The quiet hours, meant to preserve nature's peace, are actually pricing out working-class families, retirees on fixed incomes, and people with disabilities who rely on powered medical devices. Meanwhile, wealthy RVers with $20,000 solar systems camp comfortably nearby. What was once the last truly affordable refuge for full-time travelers is becoming another exclusive club. Boondocking is transforming from a symbol of freedom into a privilege reserved for those who can afford the latest off-grid technology. You pull into a beautiful RV resort with your kids, excited for a family adventure, only to hear those crushing words, "Sorry, we don't allow children here." This isn't a hypothetical nightmare. It's happening across America as more campgrounds adopt age-restricted policies. While some openly advertise as 55 plus only, others quietly exclude families through buried restrictions and unwelcoming attitudes. The discrimination goes beyond outright bans. Many parks that technically allow children impose suffocating rules that make families feel unwanted. No bikes, no outdoor toys, no loud voices, and restricted access to common areas. For full-time RV families, including those homeschooling on the road, these policies essentially ban their entire lifestyle. What makes this especially painful is how it fractures a community built on shared adventure and freedom. RVers once bonded over campfires and travel stories, regardless of age. Now families find themselves relegated to second-class status, treated as noisemakers rather than fellow travelers. Often these policies stem from perception rather than problems. A few complaints about children playing, and park owners make sweeping decisions that punish every family. The irony? Many RV kids are exceptionally well-behaved, having learned respect and responsibility from constant travel. The message these restrictions send is devastating. If you travel with kids, go somewhere else. In a lifestyle supposedly celebrating freedom and exploration, families are being systematically excluded from places that once welcomed everyone with open arms. The RV community is losing something precious, its inclusive spirit, one adults-only policy at a time. If you travel with a larger dog, prepare for disappointment. A growing number of RV parks now enforce strict pet weight limits, typically banning any dog over 25 pounds, regardless of behavior, training, or temperament. This quiet discrimination hits responsible pet owners hardest. Your perfectly trained golden retriever, who's never caused a problem, can be denied entry simply for weighing more than a cocker spaniel. Meanwhile, poorly behaved smaller dogs get a free pass based on size alone. These policies often hide in booking fine print or get casually mentioned during check-in, leaving travelers scrambling for alternatives. When confronted, park owners typically cite insurance concerns or guest complaints, despite many problems actually stemming from smaller, less controlled pets. The impact goes beyond inconvenience. This rule disproportionately affects solo travelers, veterans, and full-time RVers who depend on larger dogs for security, emotional support, or legitimate service work. For many, their dog isn't just a pet, it's family, protection, and sometimes medical necessity. Some parks pile on additional restrictions, banning pets from grassy areas, common spaces, or trails. Owners are told to confine animals to their RVs, even in dangerous heat. These policies judge animals by appearance rather than behavior, pushing countless good pet owners to society's margins. The message is clear: you must choose between your lifestyle and your loyal companion. In a community supposedly built on freedom and acceptance, breed discrimination and weight limits are forcing heartbreaking decisions that no pet owner should face. The golden age of spontaneous RV travel is dying. You used to be able to drive until you were tired, spot a welcoming campground, and simply pull in for the night. Those carefree days are rapidly disappearing as parks nationwide adopt strict reservation-only policies. Even public campgrounds are joining this trend, forcing travelers into rigid online booking systems. You can't call ahead, you can't negotiate at the gate. If you didn't reserve days or weeks in advance, you're simply turned away. The most frustrating part? Many of these parks will reject walk-ins while half their sites sit empty. This shift toward mandatory planning destroys the very freedom that draws people to RV life. Full-time travelers, weekend adventurers, and retirees who hit the road to escape rigid schedules now find themselves trapped in complicated booking systems and inflexible itineraries. The financial burden adds insult to injury. Third-party booking platforms pile on processing fees and service charges, making an already expensive lifestyle even costlier. What used to be a simple transaction, showing up and paying, now involves multiple fees just to secure a spot. Walk-in guests were once a normal part of campground culture, often filling sites that would otherwise remain empty. Now they're treated as inconveniences, rather than welcome travelers with money to spend. For a community built on freedom and spontaneity, this represents a fundamental cultural shift. The spirit of adventure is being replaced by spreadsheets and advanced planning, turning the open road into just another bureaucratic maze. Pulling into a campground with your RV and a second vehicle used to be completely normal, whether you're a full-timer with a tow car, a family with an extra vehicle, or someone hauling motorcycles or toys. But a frustrating new restriction is spreading. Only one vehicle per site, no exceptions. Even when your truck and trailer fit perfectly on the designated pad without blocking anything, many parks now force you to park your second vehicle elsewhere or pay hefty additional fees. These charges range from $5 to $20 per night, turning what should be a standard setup into an unexpected upcharge. The policy affects everyone: motorhome owners towing SUVs, families arriving with a second car, and RVers traveling with motorcycles or bike racks. It doesn't matter if your vehicles fit neatly within your site boundaries, parks are making it a revenue opportunity. Adding insult to injury, the alternative parking areas are often poorly located, unlit, and unsecured. You're forced to leave your vehicle far from your campsite, creating security concerns and requiring long walks just to access your own property. This isn't about managing limited space. It's about profit and control. Parks are monetizing services that were previously included, while RVers get stuck with surprise fees and logistical headaches. For travelers who depend on multiple vehicles for their lifestyle, whether for work, family needs, or recreational gear, this restriction creates unnecessary complications and costs. Once again, campgrounds are prioritizing revenue over the practical needs of their guests, turning standard RV setups into cash grabs. For decades, America's public lands offered RVers something precious: genuine freedom. BLM areas and national forests provided wide-open spaces, star-filled nights, and affordable solitude that made full-time RV life possible. But even these last refugees are now under siege by increasingly strict enforcement. The 14-day stay limit isn't new, but the aggressive enforcement is. Rangers now actively patrol with license plate databases, GPS tracking, and even drone surveillance to catch overstayers, issuing citations for violations of even a single day. What was once loosely monitored has become a militarized operation. The restrictions go beyond simple time limits. In many districts, you can't just move a mile down the road. You must leave entire ranger zones, sometimes traveling 25 miles or more before you can return. For RVers on tight budgets, limited mobility, or those who've found a perfect spot, this constant forced migration is devastating. This rule, originally designed to prevent illegal squatting and protect resources, now feels like punishment for law-abiding nomads who simply want to enjoy public lands longer. The enforcement often targets respectful campers who leave no trace while ignoring actual problem sites. Meanwhile, more areas are shifting to permit-only systems or seasonal closures, shrinking available boondocking spots. The dream of affordable, accessible public land camping is disappearing as bureaucracy replaces the welcoming spirit these lands once embodied. The message is clear: even on land supposedly held for the people, you're no longer truly welcome to stay. When your house breaks, you call a repair person. But when your house has wheels and you're parked in a campground, you might be told that fixing it is against the rules, even in your own paid campsite. A troubling policy is spreading across RV parks. No outside repairs or mobile technicians allowed on site. Whether it's a leaky faucet, broken slide out, or failed air conditioner, many urgent RV issues can't wait weeks for resolution. Yet instead of accommodating necessary repairs, campgrounds are blocking them entirely. The restrictions often extend beyond professional services. Some parks won't even allow you to work on your own RV with basic hand tools. Need to replace a water pump or swap out a light fixture? Caught doing basic maintenance? You could face warnings or eviction. Park managers typically cite insurance liability, noise concerns, or visual disturbance as justification. But the real-world impact is devastating for full-time RVers who depend on their rigs as permanent homes. Mobile repair technicians, a lifeline for the RV community, are blocked from providing essential services, forcing small problems to become expensive emergencies. This creates impossible choices: sneak repairs and risk eviction, pack up a broken RV and limp to distant mechanics, or simply suffer with malfunctioning systems in your living space. RV life already involves enough mechanical challenges without campgrounds actively preventing solutions. When parks ban the basic act of maintaining your home, it's no longer about safety or tranquility. It's about control over people's most fundamental needs. We all understand the need for quiet hours. Nobody wants to camp next to a party zone. But what happens when quiet time starts before you've even finished grilling dinner? A growing number of RV parks now enforce quiet hours as early as 7 p.m., turning evening relaxation into a whispered, tiptoed routine. Under these rules, you can't play soft music, have conversations around the fire, let kids play outside, or even watch outdoor movies without risking complaints. This isn't about maintaining reasonable peace. It's about over-policing normal camping behavior. These ultra-early quiet hours often stem from complaints by full-time park residents or 55-plus retirees who expect hotel-level silence. But campgrounds aren't hotels. They're supposed to be places where people gather, unwind, and connect with nature and each other. The policy is especially brutal for families, working professionals, and travelers who arrive after long days on the road. Many RVers don't even reach their destination until evening, only to discover they must unhitch and set up in complete silence to avoid being reported to management. Some parks escalate enforcement with written citations or eviction threats for minor violations, creating a culture of fear where campers spend more energy monitoring their volume than enjoying their surroundings. Reasonable quiet hours serve an important purpose, but when enforced too early and too strictly, they destroy the communal spirit that makes RV camping special, the gathering, storytelling, and memory-making that happens around evening fires. Because let's be honest, 7 p.m. isn't quiet time, it's campfire time. For full-time RVers and long-distance travelers, receiving mail on the road is already complicated. Many depend on campgrounds to accept essential deliveries, prescriptions, RV parts, groceries, or work supplies. But a new policy is turning this basic service into another revenue stream, charging $5 per package just to accept your mail. That's right, some campgrounds now charge $3, $5, or even $10 per box simply to receive and hold deliveries, even for small Amazon packages or padded envelopes. The justification: staff time, storage space, and liability concerns. While this might seem reasonable for massive resorts handling hundreds of packages, even small parks with empty front desks are jumping on this fee bandwagon. The restrictions don't stop at charges. Some parks refuse oversized items completely, others only accept deliveries during specific hours, and a few ban all mail services entirely. This forces travelers to hunt down Amazon lockers or drive to distant post offices, often defeating the purpose of staying at that campground. For full-timers, digital nomads, and seasonal workers, this isn't just inconvenient, it disrupts basic daily life. Delayed medications, lost repair parts, and rerouted supplies are becoming routine headaches that add stress and expense to road life. This policy transforms something as fundamental as receiving mail into a premium service. It's another example of how the RV lifestyle, once celebrated for its simplicity, is becoming a maze of nickel and dime charges that punish people for living differently. What used to be a courtesy is now a profit center, making even basic mail delivery another financial burden for travelers. These rules aren't just inconveniences, they're changing the RV lifestyle for everyone. Have you been affected by any of them? Or found a campground that still treats RVers right? Drop your story in the comments, because your experience might help someone else avoid a bad situation. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to check out the next one. It's packed with more real-world tips every RVer needs to know. Safe travels and keep rolling.